Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Sunday, July 28th, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Sunday in Major League Baseball. First up, the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Tampa Bay Rays in the Roku game. So 11:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Reds will be sending Hunter Green to the mound. No official starter for the Rays. And when you look at Hunter Green's first start of the second half of the year, outstanding against the Braves at Truist Park. 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, no earned runs, only 2 base hits given up in that 4-1 Reds victory. You look at the Rays in the month of July, offensively, not great against righties. Pretty steep strikeout rate. They're 25th in team OPS, isolated power well below league average as well. So I think Green could go 6-7 strong innings. And then when you look at the Rays, if they're relying more on their bullpen, more of a bullpen game here, which we've seen Kevin Cash and the Rays do plenty of times, not just this year, but he pretty much invented the bullpen game. But that Rays bullpen this year, not so great. And in July, it's got a 4.28 ERA, so right around league average. But the xFIP is 21st in baseball, so I don't really love that Rays bullpen right now. I'm going to go to the Cincinnati Reds on the money line. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Xavier Curry and Ranger Suarez are your starters. We talked about how Ranger Suarez was not the sharpest down the stretch of the first half. He was giving up quite a few base runners and earned runs in his final few starts before the All-Star break, and his first start after the All-Star break against the Twins. He wasn't miserable. It wasn't his best start, but definitely I would say a step in the right direction. He gave up 3 runs in 5 1/3 innings, so just 2 outs shy of a quality start. Now, the Twins went on to win that game, so Suarez has not been the most profitable recently, as the Phillies have lost 4 of his last 5 starts. However, when you look at Cleveland in the month of July, not great numbers offensively against lefties. You look at Curry on the other side for Cleveland to start this game. I don't really love him as an option in this Guardians rotation. The expected numbers aren't the best to start the year, and I think the Phillies can get to him for a few runs. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Phillies in this one. I think it's a bounce-back start for Suarez at home. Next up, we see the San Diego Padres taking on the Baltimore Orioles. We're going to see Randy Vasquez going for San Diego, no official starter for the Orioles. And I know Randy Vasquez has been a little bit better in his last couple of road starts than overall this season away from Petco Park, but he only had 2 strikeouts in those last 2 road games combined. So I do think he was rather fortunate in those games. And now you're facing the Orioles at Camden Yards. It's a tough matchup, and I think when you look at the full body of work for Vasquez on the year, just not great numbers away from Petco. I think the Orioles can get to him for a few runs early. We'll have to see who the official starter is for Baltimore. Maybe just go with the team total over for the Orioles if you just want to isolate the game to their matchup offensively against Vasquez. But I'll take the Orioles on the money line and a lean right now as well. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Texas Rangers. John Gray and Jose Barrios are your starters. To me, I haven't really loved what I've seen from either of these starting pitchers overall in 2024, but I think John Gray's in much better form, and I think he's a much more trustworthy option in this start. He's coming off a great outing against the White Sox, and even before that, his last start against the Angels was a victory for the Rangers. Then you look at Jose Barrios. He's got good numbers at Rogers Center overall this season. However, like in his last game, he's got the lowest strikeout rate of his career. The walks are starting to pile up. He had 6 in that last game against the Rays. A lot of sharp contact, a lot of home runs. I trust the Rangers line up more in this game. I think their bullpen's better, and I think they have the better starting pitchers. So give me the Rangers in this one on the money line. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the New York Mets. We're going to see Reynaldo Lopez and David Peterson as your starters. When you look at Reynaldo Lopez, great numbers overall this season. However, recently, teams are starting to pick up on some things. They've been able to get to him, and his numbers, the ERA is starting to climb a little bit. I think the Mets, with how well they've played offensively in recent games, I think they'll be able to get to him for a few runs early. And then when you look at David Peterson, he's pitched well on the surface. He's been a winning machine for the Mets. However, the expected numbers aren't the best, and I do expect some big-time regression going forward. You look at the Atlanta Braves, they've crushed lefties in the month of July, some great numbers, OPS and ISO-wise against Southpaws. So for me, I like both of these matchups offensively against solid pitchers on paper, and because of the solid pitching matchup, add the fact that Citi Field's more pitcher-friendly, we actually see a pretty low total in this game, but I like the over in the first 5 innings in the full game in Braves-Mets. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Detroit Tigers. Bailey Ober for Minnesota, no official starter for Detroit. The Tigers have made improvements offensively against righties in the month of July, but Bailey Ober is pitching really well right now for the Twins. Even his last game against the Phillies, he had a mistake early on to Bryce Harper. Other than that, he was excellent the rest of the way. He was efficient in that game. He's really an efficient starting pitcher because he throws a lot of strikes, doesn't really walk a lot of guys. So I think Ober pitches well against still in a lineup that I consider one of the weaker ones in the American League. I think the Twins, we'll have to see who the official starter is for Detroit, but that Tigers bullpen's not been great in July. Steep ERA and not great expected numbers to go with it. So give me the Twins in this one on the money line. Next up, the Chicago Cubs taking on the Kansas City Royals. We got Javier Assad and Cole Ragans as your starters. To me, it's a lopsided pitching matchup. Ragans has been excellent this year for KC, facing a Cubs team that's been inconsistent offensively in 2024. Javier Assad, his numbers look decent on paper, but the expected numbers aren't the best, and I do expect him to continue to regress as the season goes along. The Royals are a very strong lineup at Kauffman Stadium. Now, the Cubs have made big-time improvements in their bullpen. In July, it's actually made one of the better bullpens in baseball in this month, but I think the Royals do enough damage early on in this game to win it and cover the run line in the end, so give me KC laying the 1.5. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Houston Astros. River Ryan and Spencer Arrighetti are your starters. Two rookies on the mound in this game, and River Ryan pitched well in his Major League debut. Only no earned runs, just one unearned run given up against San Francisco in a Dodgers victory. However, in 5 1/3 innings, having 3 walks and only 2 strikeouts is a bit of a concern for me. And then when you look at the fact that Arrighetti's pitched well since his early season struggles, the Astros bullpen's been the better bullpen in the month of July, and the Astros are the healthier team, and their offense has just been stronger recently. I got to go with the Astros in this one on the money line. I know Ryan pitched well in that debut. I think he regresses a bit in this start and going forward. And I like the Astros to grab a W at Minute Maid Park. Next up, the Miami Marlins taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. No official starter for Miami, but Tobias Myers should be going for Milwaukee. And when you look at Tobias Myers, a 3.14 ERA, but a 4.16 FIP, you look at the fact that the Brewers are 1-3 in his last 4 starts. He's given up at least 1 home run in 3 of his last 4. The Marlins have made big-time improvements, not just the lineup, but also the bullpen. In the month of July, it's been one of the better bullpens in baseball. For me, I'm going to take a shot with the Marlins in this game. I think they can get the Myers for a few runs, potentially a couple of home runs, and I'll go with the Marlins on the money line. Next up, the Seattle Mariners taking on the Chicago White Sox. Bryce Miller and Garrett Crochet are your starters. I know it's tough to back the White Sox right now in their current form, but for me, when you look at this matchup, Garrett Crochet has pitched well this year, 3.07 ERA, even better numbers at Guaranteed Rate Field. Great strikeout numbers. We know the Mariners strike out quite a bit, even against lefties, where they do hit lefties better than righties, but still a team that I don't really love. I don't really trust their offense. And Bryce Miller, when you look at his numbers on the road, an ERA above 5 at 5.51, 49 innings, only 27 strikeouts on the road, 250 opponents batting average compared to 181 at home. So he's just been far worse on the road. 11 home runs as well given up in 49 innings. So to me, I think the value lies with the White Sox in this game. Like I said, it's tough to back them in their current, offensive form themselves. But I think if this is a close game, low-scoring game late, the value is certainly lying with the White Sox at this kind of price. So give me Chicago on the money line. Next up, the Washington Nationals taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. DJ Hertz and Miles Mikolas are the projected starters. In the month of July, the Nationals are above league average in team OPS and isolated power against righties. They match up well, pretty well against Miles Mikolas in this game, as he has not pitched well at Busch Stadium. 1-4 record, 6.61 ERA at home. Now, he faced the Nationals back on July 8th, but that was at Nationals Park, and he pitched well in that game. But his last 2 home starts against the Cubs and the Reds, it was 5 1/3 of 8 base hits, 6 earned run, 4 home run baseball. And then against the Reds in 4 1/3 innings, 12 base hits, 10 total runs, 9 of those were earned, and another home run to go with it. So it's tough to trust Mikolas in this game. You look on the other side, DJ Hertz, a lefty. The Cardinals have not been great against lefties this year. However, they were able to get to Mackenzie Gore earlier in the series, and they were able to get to DJ Hertz earlier in the season, back on July 7th. 4 earned runs and 5 total runs in an 8-3 Cardinals victory. So I like both of these offenses, at least early on in this game. You can go with the first 5 over, but I'm going to go with the full game over as well. Next up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the San Francisco Giants. Austin Gomber and Jordan Hicks are the starters. This is a game where it's at a pitcher-friendly ballpark in Oracle, but I actually like the over. And even though the Rockies' numbers offensively on the road aren't great, I'm not so sure we're going to need too much from them to, contribute to get this over, as I think, Gomber's been better at Coors Field, believe it or not, than on the road. The Giants have hit lefties very well in 2024. I think he gives up quite a few early. Then you look at that Rockies bullpen. It's been one of the worst bullpens in baseball. I think the Giants could get over the total themselves. But then you look on the other side. I mean, Jordan Hicks hasn't been excellent recently. Even in his last couple of games at Oracle Park, he's given up a lot of, sharp contact, a lot of earned runs. And while he's still got better numbers at home on the season, he's just not in great form. The Giants have lost each of his last 5 starts. So I'd rather just take the over in this game in Rockies-Giants. Next up, the Oakland Athletics taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Hogan Harris and Jose Soriano are your starters. Hogan Harris may have the better ERA in this game, but when you look at this matchup, I still think Soriano is the better starter. I mean, Hogan Harris has a 5.56 expected ERA. It's over 2.5 runs steeper than his current ERA, and I think there's a lot of room for regression going forward. Soriano has been, not been great at Angel Stadium this year, but his last home start was excellent. The Angels have been able to win 3 of his last 5 starts. And I think he'll pitch well in this game. It's a tough matchup. The A's have really improved their game offensively, but I think Soriano is the better starting pitcher by the end of this game. I think the Angels win this one, so give me the Halos on the money line. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Arizona Diamondbacks, the final afternoon game for Sunday. We got Yilber Diaz and Mitch Keller on the mound. And Yilber Diaz, I really like what I saw from him in that first game, his Major League debut against the Braves. Didn't like what I saw from him in that next game against Toronto. While it still was a solid outing in terms of the 6 innings, only 1 run, his strikeout numbers really dropped in that game. His control wasn't the best. And we were looking to fade him in that last start against the Royals, and he gave up 7 earned runs, 9 base hits, and a home run with no strikeouts in those 3 innings. I think Diaz eventually can be a major league option, but I don't think he's that guy right now. And I think when you look at Mitch Keller on the other side, really strong option for the Pirates. The Pirates have improved offensively in the month of July. Their bullpen's improved. I got to go with Pittsburgh in this one on the money line. Next up, the New York Yankees taking on the Boston Red Sox. Carlos Rodon and Tanner Houck are your projected starters. Rodon's somebody we have not backed very often in 2024 because early season, his strikeout numbers were inconsistent, the control was off, and he was giving up a lot of sharp contact. And we expected regression. We saw it, and still his ERA is at 4.42 on the year. But recently, I will say Rodon has been able to miss a lot of bats, and I like the fact that he's earning strikeouts again. He's had more than a strikeout per inning in his last 5 starts, and really that last game against the Rays, a really impressive start against a team that's hitting lefties so well in July, and not really striking out much against lefties. He went 7 innings, 1 run, only 2 base hits, and 10 strikeouts in that game in a 9-1 Yankees victory. Now you're facing a Red Sox team that we've talked about in 2024 overall, but especially in July. Very steep strikeout rate against left-handed pitching. I think Rodon actually matches up well in this game. The question is, can the Yankees bullpen, the Yankees lineup back him up? While the Yankees bullpen struggled early in the series, I still think it's a better bullpen in this matchup. And then you look at the fact that the Yankees are facing Tanner Houck, who in his last game, I know it was at Coors Field, but still 10 base hits given up in that start. Before that, in the All-Star game, he did not pitch well. 4 base hits, 3 earned runs, and a homer. I'm going to go with the Yankees in this one. I think they get to Houck for a few runs early. I think Rodon pitches well. I think the Yankees grab a win to end the week. And that's it. Those are the games for Sunday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those baseball picks in the comments section below. And again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.